Hugo, what's a film in the last couple of weeks that you've seen that you wanted to talk to me about?
I think we need to talk about Army of the Dead, don't we? I guess like we have to
Yeah,
like
Army of the Dead. Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead.
yeah, there's no way we cannot talk about this for a myriad of reasons, because this film, man, is as much as people hate it or love it, you cannot be indifferent to it, can you? That's for sure.
No, it does create a bit of love hate in terms
Yeah.
of actual response to the film. And then of course we're going to talk about the visual effects, which are quite enormous.
Oh yeah.
The
Yeah.
more I look on the web, the more I find out about the visual effects, and I've even done a few articles about it.
Yeah. I think this film, I have I have this relationship with Zack Snyder's films. I hate it, but I love it, and I love it, and I hate it. And I'm always
Yeah.
oh my god, this is so shit. Oh my god, this is so good. It's really difficult because you have to hand it to him. He's really creative, and he's really trying to build something different. If you look at his body of work, 300 and Watchmen, and even now the Zack Snyder's cut I had a
Justice League.
of Justice League, definitely is trying something different. And I think that is the most impressive thing of Army of the Dead is that he's trying something new and fresh, and it definitely is fresh. Completely different take on zombies. As much as you can hate and see all the holes on the plot, I don't think I've ever seen a zombie film like this. Like, I feel like he's trying, at least he's trying something. I feel a lot of times we always complain, oh, they've lost creativity on Hollywood. Oh, they don't really try anything else. Definitely he's trying something. He's trying something new, and I really have to hand it to Netflix
Yeah.
to even allowing this to happen. So, you
Yeah,
know,
I enjoyed it.
yeah,
I wish I'd seen it at a cinema. It was actually released at the cinemas here and
yeah.
elsewhere, I'm sure. Because it feels like a big movie, and it didn't feel to me like a big movie on my laptop, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you need to get a
It's a
projector.
bit,
You see, that's the thing. I have a projector. I
yeah.
watched it in 4K HDR, and that's the way to
Oh,
go.
there you go.
Like,
It's a bit long. It's a bit
yeah,
long,
yeah,
I would say. It
yeah.
could have been maybe 20 minutes shorter.
But that's a Zack Snyder
Um,
film, right? Like, it's going to be half of it in slow motion. That's the whole point, isn't it?
but it is a
If you
character
put it all
piece.
in regular speed, it will be a 1 hour and a half film.
Yeah, yeah. I think part of the length is that there's a lot of characters, a lot of character development to
Yeah.
get through. That the truth is sometimes you could wipe a bit of that out and just have a few more action sequences. But no, it was okay.
Yeah.
I just, there's this new kind of movie on streaming that feels like a big movie, but is kind of not big.
And
But
it's
but
smaller
actually, this
budget.
was a huge production, right? It
Yeah,
was
it was.
huge.
Yeah. The thing with this is that I feel, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's amazing. No, I didn't either. I thought the film was interesting because it was tackling something new, and it's definitely looks different. We'll talk about the looks and the visual effects soon. But I think after I've watched it now, and especially after watching all the behind the scenes, and especially the 4 clips Netflix club film has launched now with the Zack Snyder School, and you really
Oh, yeah.
have the insight of how he made it and what he did with all the lenses and all the cameras, then you really start to understand that this film is so much low budget, so much filmed like a low budget film. It's almost like filmed like a B movie. And
Yeah.
and that is
Yeah.
the interesting, for me personally, that's the interesting part. The interesting part is that he's been using these really old lenses from the 60s, which it's so funny that he was so concerned that with this that he didn't even hire a cinematographer. He did the cinematography himself because he was
Yeah.
so worried because he was going to put the lenses completely open with the maximum f-stop open. And so he felt like, I'm not going to screw anyone over with this, and because we're going to have an out of focus film. And so
Do you? I have to say, Hugo, I feel occasionally that depth of field
yeah,
is a bit distracting. Like,
I know.
and it must have
I know.
been tricky for the visual effects team too. But it's occasionally a bit. It's very Zack Snyderish.
It is.
I
it
like
is.
the different look,
Yeah.
but I just felt it was a bit distracting.
I have to say, personally, on all my work, I do the same, and I really love to do very shallow, and I really love to work that way, and I have a bunch of really extreme photography lenses. I have like some f1.2s and f1.4s on my shelf there. And so whenever I film my short films or I take my photos, I always usually open my gate completely, open my iris completely, and I feel like I love the organic feeling of those edges and all those bouquets and all those kind of like dreamy sensation that you get from that. And I felt that it is overused, especially in short films, on amateur films, but it really works in here because this is a dream scenario. It is like a very strange film. You can kind of have, there's a lot of theories out there that there's even a time loop on it and everything. There's all sorts of things. And I feel like that was in purpose, because if you look at other films he's done, that doesn't happen, you know. Like if you look at Justice League, it's an incredibly sharp film if you think about it, you know. So I feel like it was in purpose because of the handheld feeling, because of the way he was shooting it, you know.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the visual effects. Let's talk about, because that's what people are here for, right?
Okay.
They don't care about our stupid opinions about like what, if the film is good or not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the visual effects are really great in my overall.
Yeah.
You know, there's a whole world creation thing going on with Las Vegas. There's digital zombies. There's lots of practical makeup. There's a digital zombie tiger and an incredible mauling scene.
Yeah.
I think the one kind of visual effects we should probably concentrate on is the actor replacement with Tig Notaro.
Yeah.
I mean, that has actually pretty much blown people away if they didn't know that happened at all, right,
Yeah.
Hugo?
Yeah, exactly. And did you saw the latest behind the scenes they just launched? It's so
I
funny
did.
that the breakdown doesn't have Chris D'Elia in it, you know, like, so they've done an actual marketing breakdown where they have the breakdown and it's like a clean plate. There's no one else. We've never filmed anyone. And it's fascinating.
I'm not surprised though.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised
Yeah.
either, but I don't think this has happened before. I haven't really seen anything like this where you make a breakdown in purpose. A lot of times what happens, just like on All the Money in the World with Kevin Spacey, you do see trailers and films, but you never see a breakdown. There's if you go, the only left from Kevin Spacey is those early trailers, you know, that came out. But Netflix went all out of their way to actually show the replacement and make in purpose visual effects for the behind the scenes. And I think this is a bit rare, where we have behind the scenes that are visual effects. You know, like the behind the scenes themselves have visual effects, because they're removing him completely and making a clean plate that probably wouldn't really be the one that they're using on comp. It would have been a more extensive clean plate that they would be using. So it's
right.
It's funny.
A showcase.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about this? About him? Obviously, we all know the problems with Chris Delaney. I obviously understand why they removed him, but I'm not talking about Chris itself and the issues and why they replaced him with Tig. But what do you think about this thing of now we're reaching a point where literally we could go back on a film and really change it if we want to, you know?
Well, directors do, don't they? I mean,
they do, yeah.
I don't know if I have a problem with it, because of the concept of, Hugo, I could be employed to be an actor in a film. I never will be. And I could do my scenes for 6 months, and then the director could say, the editor, the producer, the film studio could say, well, Ian, you're no good, which they would say, and you're cut from the film. That happens. I mean, I can't think of an example, but that happens. Is that any different than them deciding not to?
I guess not.
Chris?
I guess you're right. It is just that the technology is in a place that we can actually not need to cut the shot entirely. Because in the past, you know, they would have done some reshoots with the actors again. But obviously, because of COVID, they couldn't really do any of that. That's also why they had to do it this way. Because people are kind of like thinking on the internet, like, why did they went to all this trouble? They can just bring the actors back. And I feel like people have those comments because they really don't understand how film works. You know, like, not only that it means that they would have to all, again, have the set. They all have to have the dressing. They all have to have the clothes. They all have to do the whole entire crew there again. But also, like, with COVID, that was not going to be possible. So that's why they had to shoot him separately, you know. So that's...
But do you, Hugo, have more like, do you think there's some moral
It's
issues
not a
or
moral issue.
ethical issues with
I
changing the
have problem.
performance?
Yes, I have problems with this. Not on this film specifically. I feel like I completely understand why they replaced Chris with Tig, but I feel like I have this issue, especially with films in the past where they're changing things. It comes to mind like Splash from Ron Howard, where they went back. If you go to Disney Plus, I have the DVD here, and on DVD it's the original film, and then if you go to Disney Plus,
Yeah.
you'll see that they've put some CG hair on Daryl's Hannah's to cover her ass, like just so you don't see the naked butt there.
Yeah.
And they've done a few other places where you don't see her completely naked. I don't really agree with that because I feel like I'm sure Ron Howard specifically wanted her to be naked because that's the whole point.
They've
She's a mermaid.
sanitized it.
It's
Yeah.
sanitizing, and that's what I'm worried about. I'm not so much worried about replacing bad performances. I'm all up for that. And if you think about it, imagine if they would pick up The Room, they could have just done it all in CG again because it's all about performance. But
Yeah.
if you think about it, like I'm just worried about the sanitization. And we've had this in the past where they've removed sex scenes and removed violent scenes from films and made unrated versions and rated versions. But I'm more worried
Yeah.
about like covering things in CG, and it's a bit nefarious. I feel like the creative, the original that was made by that director should stand the test of times. It should be it should be from a preservation point of view. It should exist, and because right now, say what you say about seeing your ass or not on Splash. I know I'm just talking about Splash, but think about this. You cannot have a copy of Splash in HD right now with the original film. This doesn't exist. There's no Blu-ray out there. You can only buy an old DVD, which I bought on eBay, to have the old version. If you go to Disney Plus, that's the sanitized version. It's not on Netflix. It's not on Amazon. It's nowhere to be found. So you can only see that version. So that's now the new version. And I just feel like from a preservation point of view, I would wish that we could keep the original visions of directors. That's my problem with this.
Well, people will tell you to buy the DVDs, or not you, but people would say hold on to your discs, and I think they're right.
But that's going to go away as well. There will be a point where, Blu-rays will... I always buy Blu-rays, physical games, and physical films because of these things. It happens on the games industry all the time as well, where they remove a game completely from the store, and I only have the disc. But I feel like that's the problem I have. It's like the preservation. But, it has nothing to do with this. This is not a preservation thing. Zach wanted to remove that actor, and I feel like Tig did an amazing job. She's so funny on the film, so funny.
And the filmmakers did an amazing job of recreating scenes with just her on green screen and exteriors as well. Yeah. But on a visual effects related note, really briefly, Hugo, I actually, when I was at university for a law assignment, I did something on moral rights and visual effects with actors.
Oh, really?
Because it was this time in the mid-90s where they were like altering performances, with digi-doubles and morphing and lip sync changes. Now that's a relevant thing again. And in Europe, mostly, there was this concept of moral rights that if you gave a performance and you altered it, if it was altered, you were impinging not on the copyright of the actor, but on their sort of moral rights.
Yeah.
And it's something that came out of a different field, which is like architects. They built something or designed something, and then someone changed their design.
Yeah.
And they could sue
it's
under
like an IP.
moral
Yeah.
rights
If you think, I know exactly what you mean. I guess,
and that's interesting because that's more possible than ever, right? With visual effects technology.
I guess that's probably in contracts
I really should dig up that paper.
Isn't it? It's probably on contracts these days. Like I'm sure actors have those things on contracts. But this all comes to even digital humans, even after the death of people. Like if you think about old films, I'm just a bit worried that they go back and sanitize older films. But I feel that this is now going to start happening more and more because some actors might not want to be dug up to be shown on films or even changed as well. Because as much as I understand the past is the past, like as much as I understand how cringy the past is sometimes when you look at, Gone with the Wind or Casablanca and all the macho bullshit you had on the 60s, 50s, and 40s. But you can't go back and change it. I mean, it's part of its time. It's part of its time. It is normal. Things were done that way back then. I'm just concerned how far are we going to go with sanitizing things and changing things. But I know we're going. I
Well,
know we're
as it,
going off topic here. But
yeah.
I think this is
Well,
an
that's
interesting
okay.
topic.
As you say, it's a contract issue for actors who are alive.
Yeah.
One of the challenges is actors who are dead,
Exactly.
and you're resurrecting their performance.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they died mid-film, like with the Furious Seven,
Yeah, yeah,
Paul
Paul
Walker
Walker, yeah,
stuff.
Paul Walker, or even on
And but
Gladiator, yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, but
Oliver
there's
Reed
other
also.
ones where you're bringing back an actor you never were able to ask them whether they wanted to be in a new
I know,
film,
I know.
So anyway, we should probably move on, Hugo.